What is going on, everybody? Tonight we're doing a viewer request review video. I'll post a comment up here. JJE asked if I could do a review video on the Master Airbrush kit. This one is the Cool Runner 2. Now they have 3 different variations of this specific kit that comes with different options on it. I'm going to get this one unboxed, show you guys the one that I picked, and go over the reasons why I picked this one and think it would be a good kit for anybody that's starting out lure painting. So thank you for the request. I hope this video gives some info for you to help you pick out which kit you're looking for. Enough chat. Let's get this open. It's been sitting on my desk for a week now, so I'm very anxious to get to it. Okay, so the reason I went with this kit for the tank is it has a pump on the top, and then the bottom is a storage tank for air. So some of their other options for the kits where it's just the pump. Now whenever it's just the pump and no tank storage, anytime you are airbrushing, that pump's going to be running. So as soon as you pull down on that trigger, flips a switch in here and makes the pump start running. Nothing wrong with those pumps, except for there are a few things if you're being very detailed with things. So whenever these pumps, the way these pumps work is there's like a compression inside there that makes the air either fill up the tank or run out the hose for your airbrush. So whenever there's no tank storage, when you push down on that air, sometimes there can be a delay, or because of the pulsating, it'll make kind of like an inconsistent spray pattern. Another con with doing just the pump only is longevity of it. So the whole time you're airbrushing, the pump will be running. That's also kind of annoying if you're, like for me, if I'm filming videos and every time I go on the trigger for the airbrush, the pump starts running. That can be kind of annoying with it running the whole time. So longevity, every time you pull the trigger on the airbrush, pump kicks on and starts running. If you get the one with the tank, the pump kicks on, fills up the tank, and then shuts back off. So then the second you pull down the trigger, you get instant airflow, no delay, nothing like that, because the tank is already full of air. Once it drops below whatever PSI you have set, the pump will kick on, refill the tank. So that's kind of nice because it's not running constantly. Makes everything last a little bit longer because it's not constantly being used. And then you also get a better spray pattern. Now, I should have said this at the beginning of the video. Are these Master Airbrush kits like the perfect, best, highest quality that you can get? No. However, I bought the same kit years ago. I have since upgraded the airbrush from it, but I'm still using the pump and air tank that came with the original one. So it's lasted me a long time. I know if you hop on different forums or different Facebook groups and ask, some people are going to tell you not to waste your money on it just to get the nice one. But it is kind of difficult to throw out $100 for an airbrush whenever you are just getting into painting. So I would compare this to like a Honda Civic versus a Ferrari. Of course, the Ferrari is going to perform better, but will the Honda Civic get you where you need to go and get good gas mileage doing it? Absolutely. I've got nothing against these. I think they're a great starting point for anybody trying to get into it. Now, the price tag on this one was $160. Like I said, they had other options that came with more airbrushes, came with paints. It was the compressor alone, several different options. So that's what I was wanting to get on this one. I picked the one that had the pump with the air storage tank below it. And their other options specifically for the Cool Runner 2, the airbrushes that came with it, they had one gravity fed, which is this one where you add the paint into the top there, gravity fed. The other 2 airbrushes that came with it were the siphon fed or side fill, whatever you want to call it, that's got the jars on the bottom. When it comes to picking out the airbrush, personal opinion is, especially if you're just doing lure painting, there's no need to get the ones with the jar. One, it can be a pain to clean those. 2, Depending on how you do it, you might end up needing a jar for every tube of paint that you have, depending on your setup exactly. I don't really think the ones with the jars are necessary unless you're doing mass quantities, because you have to run at a higher PSI in order to get the paint to be siphoned up through the jar and out of the airbrush. It can make it a little bit harder to do finer details. So that's why I like to do the gravity fed ones, where you just drip a couple drops of paint in there, spray it, it's right there by the nozzle. You can spray at much lower PSI settings. And it also, in my opinion, is easier to clean out the gravity fed ones versus the jar ones. All I have is all my tubes of paint. I don't have jars or anything extra like that laying around. So that would be the reason why I went with the Cool Runner 2 that had just this single airbrush in it. Now, I've used this one before. It's a great airbrush, perfect for beginners. I have also since upgraded twice to this one. Two other airbrushes I've been using. I have been using the Iwata Neo CN for years. I have two of these. These are great airbrushes. I would recommend that being the step up from the Master airbrush. And as of this year, a couple months ago, I got the Badger Extreme Patriot 105, which has been really good for me too. Both of them are gravity fed. But starting out, if you can get the compressor that has the tank with a gravity fed airbrush, and this specific kit was $170. Like I said, there was cheaper options that it was the pump by itself. It came with a couple extra airbrushes and also paint. So if that's something you're wanting, I think the pump alone, I've used two of those, is also great. I'm not against any of it, but for me, I've been using the tank with the pump on top for years, and there has not been any issues. Couple other things I wanted to point out, if you're new to airbrushing, that would be helpful, is one, these compressors that have the tanks on the bottom, there's a release valve over here. So actually, let me get this plugged in and I'll show you what I'm wanting to show you. So right here on the front is where you're going to attach your airbrush hose. Go ahead and get this all connected and I can show you guys what everything on it does. So this airbrush that came with it, let me see if it says, it's the G222 model. It comes with three different needle sizes, the 0.5, 0.3, I think, and 0.2. So it looks like the 0.3 is what's currently in the airbrush. And what my plan is I'm going to put the 0.5 in here and then have both setups running. So the 0.5 in this airbrush, and then I'll have the 0.3 in my Badger airbrush. It's a little bit nicer. That way I can spray larger or like thicker paints, like stuff that's got like pearlescent colors or iridescent colors. Some of those have smaller particles in them. That's harder to spray through a finer needle point. Okay, air compressor's plugged in. Over here, it's actually different than my older one. I don't know where, oh, there's the on-off switch. Okay, on-off switch. As soon as I kick it on, our pressure starts filling and it should shut off. Thing is, I don't know what it's set to until it kicks off. There it goes. So now that the tank is full of air, it shut off the pump, and I have the needle adjusted to 30 psi. Something else I wanted to go over that gauge with you guys is if you have it set to, you're trying to spray at 30 psi, as soon as you pull down on the trigger, it's going to make that drop. So you're actually spraying around 20 psi worth of pressure. Or that might also be from me just adjusting it. What I'm getting at here, and this is a perfect example, I thought I had it set at 30. I started spraying, it dropped down to 20 at the working pressure. So whenever the airbrush, you're engaging the trigger and it drops down into there, that's your working pressure for PSI. So what I recommend doing whenever you're setting your gauge for how much PSI you're doing, you pop that up. I engage the trigger on the airbrush and then adjust it while the airbrush is running. So I'm going to go around like 25 psi. So now it's showing it's at 30, but when I engage it, we're actually spraying 20 psi is the working pressure. So hopefully that made sense. But if you had it adjusted to like a 20 or lower and then started spraying, you'll actually probably be spraying around 15 psi, which could be problematic depending on what type of paint you're spraying. Now this tank comes with a drip, or what do they call it, a moisture trap. So if you're spraying in humid conditions, condensation will start building up inside of here. And what you might need to do is help release that condensation. So this button on the bottom here should, if I push it, yeah, allows the air to come out of there. If you don't have a moisture trap and you're spraying in humid conditions, sometimes that moisture coming from the pump or the tank will travel down the hose and make it through your airbrush, where it'll end up spraying out the tip of your airbrush with your paint. It can cause problems. So if your pump doesn't have a water trap on there or moisture trap, you can also get those as accessories that either connect to the compressor itself or connects to the bottom of the airbrush. This one's built in, which is very nice, so never really an issue that I have to worry about. If it gets moisture, like I said, hit that button and it'll help that water to come out so it doesn't ruin anything. Another good thing to know that'll help things last longer. It's hard on the O-rings in your airbrush, the seals, O-rings, everything inside of the whole pump and compressor if you leave this filled with air. So what I do, and I've been getting way better at it, is when I'm done spraying it at night, I will turn the compressor off, and then this valve right here releases all the air that's inside of the tank. This is going to be really loud, so I will turn it down on the microphone, but you should, if it's like my old one, just pull on this. And that lets all the air out of the tank, so that way your hose is loose, nothing's under pressure and just being stored with pressure on it. So I like to do that. It makes the tank, air compressor, everything last longer when it's not sitting there for a couple days underneath of pressure from all the air. So flip this back on and our needle should go back up to that 25 psi area that we had it set. So there we go. It looks like it stopped just above 30, but once I pull the trigger, drops down to about that 25 range, and the needle goes back up to the 30. So I think that is pretty much everything I wanted to cover on the tank and pump itself. I also just saw, whenever I was moving the camera, it literally says to unplug and discharge. Well, that's before servicing. But like I said, letting out your air every night is a good idea, and then your moisture trap in case any water gets in there. I'm going to move the camera over to the painting table so we can discuss the airbrush and everything that comes with the airbrush. So if you have any more questions that I didn't cover about the tank and compressor, let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. I'm not a professional when it comes to all the internal workings of it. I've just been using this style of pump and compressor for years now and haven't had any issues with it. That's why whenever he asked if I could do another review video, I was like, you know what, absolutely, because I wanted to get another one of these so I could have two setups running. So any other questions you guys might have, let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. Let's move over to the table and talk airbrushes. All right, so the airbrush that came with this kit, on the front here it says G222. On the actual listing on Amazon, in one of the photos it says MASG22, but then the next photo says model G222. So I'm assuming it just means the same thing, but I did want to point that out in case a listing you were looking at said something different. The top of the container says G222 on it. Now this one, like I said, came with the 0.2. That's the 0.5, so that means the 0.3 is inside of the airbrush. I figured I could show you guys real quick how to swap these out if you've never done that before. And something else to note if you are new to airbrushing, when it comes to the needle sizes, the 0.5 is obviously bigger, 0.3 is the middle, 0.2 is the smallest. And what that means is the opening is going to be a lot smaller. So if you're running a smaller needle size, you can do finer details. If you're doing a much larger needle size, you're gonna have a much wider spray pattern. Now the issue I was running into, like I said, I've got the Badger Extreme Patriot 105 that's got the 0.3 needle size in there. It does not spray colors that are pearlized or like, it doesn't spray the highlight gold as well, or colors that are pearlized that has like metal flake inside there or is a thicker paint. So you have to reduce a lot of paints when you're using a smaller needle size. So what I'd recommend doing if you're completely new to airbrush and you've never touched one before is maybe putting the 0.5 needle size and nozzle in the airbrush. That's going to let a lot more things be able to be sprayed through the airbrush without much trouble, but you won't be able to do as finer details since the spray pattern will be so much wider. Now I'm really happy with my Badger Patriot airbrush. It works great for all the fine details, but as I just said, doesn't spray the pearlized colors as well. So I was thinking on this airbrush, I was just going to swap the needle and nozzle out to be the 0.5. That way I can have both setups running, so when I'm painting a bait and want to use a pearl color, I just grab this airbrush with the 0.5 loaded in it, can spray my pearlized colors, and then I'll have the 0.3 in the Badger airbrush where I can do some finer detail. Now, to swap out the caps or the nozzle and the needle in this, you do want to be very careful because airbrushes are very delicate, so it's easy to screw things up. So what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and unscrew this back part. Take that off. This is how you tighten the needle. That's what holds the needle in place. So if you loosen that or take it all the way off, should let the needle slide out of the airbrush. But be very, very careful with these because it's extremely easy to damage or bend those, and that will screw up your spray pattern. Front of the airbrush, these parts unscrew. And that right there is your nozzle. Very, very delicate threads and very, very easy to cross thread or over tighten, and you can totally ruin the airbrush. The airbrush does come with a little wrench that fits on there perfectly to be able to take it off. But whenever you're tightening these, be very careful. Very easy to screw it up. So that just unscrews. So what I like to do is I'm going to slide that over top, and then we'll put that back inside of a tube to protect it in case I ever want to spray with the 0.3. So this one says that's the 0.5 needle, and then this is the 0.5 nozzle. So we're going to swap over to those. And it also looks like the 0.5 nozzle comes with a new version of that as well. So I guess we'll need to take that off. So this front piece right here unscrews. So we'll keep that. Maybe that's really on there. Oh, Nelly, that ain't that's not coming off there. There we go. I guess it was just my sweaty fingers. Okay, so that part stays, and then this part goes with the 0.3. So we got the nozzle, the needle, and that cap all are for the 0.3 setup. Now we can screw in our 0.5. Like I said, very easy to cross thread. And I just go until it stops and go just a smidgen more. You don't need to do it very tight because you will destroy those threads in there. We can screw this cap back on and then screw this guy back on. And then I got the 0.5 needle. And again, being very careful with this that you don't just smash the tip of that needle in there. Then that goes back on there to hold the needle in place. So now you should be able to see the needle poking through there. Let me unscrew this so you can see that better. Boy, that cap piece just locks in there. Now you can see the needle there when I pull back on the trigger, how the needle goes back inside the gun. So that's what it's always very easy to damage that. I can't stress that enough how cautious you should be so you don't mess it up. Then what I'm going to do is, I wish it came with an empty tube that said 0.3, but I'm going to write on here 0.3. We'll put the nozzle in there and the cap. Put the lid back on. I'm going to do the same thing with the tube that the 0.5 came in. I'll write the 3. And then I can put all that back into the container, keep it there for safekeeping, or if we want to swap it out. The air compressor, oh, what was I just, oh, it's over here. It did also come with a quick release. I've never actually used these. So if you get the kit that comes with multiple airbrushes, it might be worth connecting this to it. So that way your hose stays connected to your compressor. This, I believe, screws into the airbrush. Yep. I'm going to put that back on there. So you could put this, if you get the kit that has multiple airbrushes, attach that to your airbrush. This would attach to your hose, and then it'll do a quick connect. That way, if you're swapping between airbrushes, it's a little bit easier. Like I said, I've never really used that, so I can't say if there's any issues or whether or not that's good to use. And now that I got 2 different compressors going, I probably won't need this at all. But I could see how that would be helpful for anybody that's got 1 compressor, quick release valve. And I would assume that's also a micro airflow adjustment there. So it comes with that. Do not lose this tool. It's very important because sometimes if you clog it, you have to take it apart and get that little nozzle out. So make sure you keep track of your tool. I recommend running either an airbrush cleaner or some Windex or water or something like that through there to help clean everything. If you guys want to see a full breakdown of the airbrush, like tearing it completely apart, let me know. One thing I guess I didn't cover was it is a dual action, which I highly recommend getting a dual action airbrush, meaning dual action. So when you push down, that makes the air, and when you pull back, that gives you paint. So that's what it means by dual action. If you get a single action airbrush like this one, this is what I've been using for my clear coat. There's one single action. You pull back on the trigger, air and paint come out, and I have no control how much of it does other than I can adjust the air on it. And this one does have, I guess there is kind of adjustments where that's as far back as I can pull. You tighten that all the way. It's not going to let you pull back. So there are adjustments, but not as easy if you're trying to spray paint. For me, I'm just spraying clear coat through the single action airbrush. So it's great. I just leave it wide open, pull all the way back, all my clear coat comes out. But if I was trying to spray baits, that would be very obnoxious to keep trying to adjust that. I've never actually tried to paint with a single action. I've always just had the dual action. So that's what it means, dual action, air, paint, 2 actions to get everything to function. All right, airbrush is connected, air compressor is full of air. I've just got some airbrush cleaner. We'll run through it, make sure everything's spraying. I would say it works. And I think I might be able to turn down the air a little bit on there too. So I think what we'll do is we'll save the painting for the next video. I hope that is okay with you guys. I don't want this to end up being an hour-long video. So either tomorrow or the following day, I will have a full lure painting video using just this airbrush. I've never tried painting a whole airbrush with a 0.5 needle, so if we need to, we can swap it back out. If you guys have any further questions on this kit or this setup, make sure to let me know. And those of you who have used this kit, or if you've upgraded your airbrush, if you could do me a solid and comment below what you guys are currently using or what you might have upgraded to. That way we can help anybody who's trying to get into the hobby. Really cool lure painting community, bunch of great guys and gals all painting, so I'm hoping we can help those who are trying to get started in the right direction. I think for me, the Master Airbrush kit with that compressor is a budget-friendly way to get into the business. And then you can always upgrade the airbrush later on if you need to. So, like I said, it's not the hot, you know, it ain't a hot rod or a sports car, but it definitely gets the job done and can get you into the hobby for a decent price point. Any further questions, let me know, and myself or maybe some experienced painters can respond to you guys and try to help you out. I will see you guys in the next video, and we'll get a bait painted with this kit. Hope you found this video helpful. Normally I say I'm gonna get clear coat on this, but I don't know how to end this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.